Hi, everybody. Dr. M here. Hope everybody had a good weekend and looking forward to the week ahead. Today, we're going to talk about nutrition and mental health. And when I say mental health, I mean emotions, so how you're feeling. So let's start out with some breath work. We're going to do this 3 times. We're going to breathe in through our nose and out through our mouth. Okay, so remember to fill up those lungs. So breathe in and out. Breathe in and out. One more time. Breathe in and out. Good. Okay. So remember that eating good foods helps us with lots of different things. It helps us with energy, it helps us with concentration, it helps to build muscles, but eating can also help us with how we feel, so emotionally. So when we're eating things that are good for us with good nutrients, which remember are our vitamins and our minerals, um, that our brain and body needs to help us feel good, then we can feel good emotionally. And I'm going to talk about some of those things, that some of those healthy choices that you can make at home, um, or even if y'all support local farmers markets and supporting local restaurants, all that, when you can make healthy choices. And a lot of our local restaurants also support farmers in our area, so that's great. So I'm going to talk with you about how food can help or interfere with our emotions. And we want to make sure that we're picking those foods that help our emotions, of course. Now, remember that it's not a cure-all, that if I'm going to eat a bunch of blueberries, I'm going to feel miraculous and wonderful. No, there's a lot of other factors that go into that. But these foods can definitely help us when we are wanting to help us with our emotions. So think about breakfast this morning. When you had breakfast, for example, if you eat a really sugary cereal for breakfast, it can give you that burst of energy that you may think that you need. But it goes away quickly, and then you can start to feel tired or sluggish. Or if you have a cupcake or something like that, you feel that burst of energy because you're getting that sugar. But then all of a sudden, and we've talked about this before, you feel all of a sudden you start to crash, and you don't feel so good, and you might even feel a little bit cranky uh, and irritable. And we don't want to feel like that. So if we switch out that sugary cereal for something like maybe an apple and some oatmeal, that oatmeal, especially if it's whole grains, and I think it usually is, if you're eating that oatmeal, that's going to keep you full for a long time. And then the apple will have sugar in it, but the type of sugar that it gives you will last a lot longer, so it'll give you longer energy rather than you crashing. And so it's slowly releasing those sugars. So, so I want to remind you about something. So remember our food plate. Hopefully it will not be backwards when this comes to you. But remember that, remember our food plate and how we have our vegetables, our fruit, protein, grains, and dairy. And that's what you should be filling up on: a lot of veggies, a lot of fruit. And remember that, protein doesn't always mean meat. It can also, if you're vegetarian, it can mean beans. There are a lot of other sources of protein that don't include meat if you are a vegetarian. So remember our food plate and what your plate at home should be looking like. And maybe you also remember our superfoods. So remember that we have these wonderful, wonderful foods that you can eat that will help us to feel good. We've got, see, I even have our little friend chocolate, dark chocolate over here that I'll talk about in a minute. Whole grains, leafy veggies, then our fruits, different kinds of fruits: blueberries, raspberries, strawberries, lots of different berries are really good for us in different ways. And then I talked about apples, and then beans for your protein, And again, looking at your fruits. So lots of different superfoods that really help us with our mental health. So I'll talk about these as well. Whole fruits are packed with vitamin C, which helps us when feeling stressed. And I know that's something that a lot of us are feeling right now. And it can also help us feel more energized. Berries that are high in vitamin C help us when we're feeling stressed as well, and helps the brain to stay healthy and protect our brain from aging. So parents and caregivers pack in those berries as well. Beans and lentils are rich in magnesium. They help us with relaxation and feeling calm. Whole grain. So remember what a whole grain is. It's not using just part of the grain, it's using all of the grain. And so when something on the label says whole grain, that's what we want to go for. It has vitamin B, which helps us with stress. Leafy greens are loaded with magnesium, so that also helps with anxiety, stress. And then fish with that omega-3 fatty acids, that also helps with anxiety, and it can help our mood. And then finally, our friend dark chocolate, full of protein and fiber, and supports positive mood, healthy thinking, reduces stress hormone. And that's about 1.4 ounces. So not a whole lot. Don't overdo it with dark chocolate, but just remember that it is something that can help us. So if we're sticking with these superfoods, that can really help us with our mental health. It helps us to feel energized, feel less stressed. And remember that there are also those foods that can interfere with how we're feeling. A lot of researchers have found that processed foods can interfere with how we're feeling. So we want to make sure that we're reducing the amount of processed foods and doing more whole grains, whole fruits, things like that. Some of y'all remember we did a label game where you read the labels, or I read out the labels, and you guessed what they were. So make sure that you can read what's on the label. Make sure now that doesn't mean that all things on the label are going to be bad for you. It just means that, you want to definitely look at things that have better ingredients and are not processed. That doesn't mean that, you can't have a dessert after dinner or things like that. It just means that we want to be careful about when we go for a snack, making sure that we're picking something that is nutritious, that is filled with those vitamins and minerals that our brain and body needs to help us to feel good, and to give us that energy that we need. And it all works together, because if we've got good energy, if we've got good concentration, if we've got good mental health, then we feel good all over, and that's what we want to do. So I look forward to talking with y'all next week. Remember, parents and caregivers, if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to me, and I look forward to talking with y'all next week.